Before the sun is even over the hill, this farm has already moved almost a ton of water, and every drop was lifted by hand. We tell ourselves a farm like this ran on grit, up before dawn, backs bent, kept going by pure willpower. By the end of this one day, you'll know exactly what a day here cost, and the two things from it worth taking back. This is groundwork, real land, real history, and the plain, hard-won know-how we've forgotten. To see how, go back to a hill farm in New England, October 1880. Here, every drop of water for cooking, washing, or drinking came up by hand, one pull of the rope at a time. No tap, no pipe from the road. Just the rope, the arm, and the long walk to the door. Water opens this whole day, quiet under everything, before a single other job even begins. Cooking, washing the pots, the animals at the trough, a body or two that wants to be clean, all of it waits on the well. The rope goes down, the rope comes up, and the morning turns on that plain and tireless motion. Hold that in mind and come along. The day has barely started asking things of you. You are not here to wonder whether you'd have survived it. You're here to notice which two of these ordinary skills you'd want backing your own hands by winter, not out of guilt and not out of longing, but because some of what got lifted out of that well is worth carrying home. The bucket you carried up the well is set down now because there is a cow waiting in the low timber shed, and she will not wait long. The lantern goes with you into the dark before the sun clears the hill, and she turns her head at the sound, patient in the way animals are patient with people who show up every day. You sit on the three-legged stool, set the pail under her, and the first work of the day begins the way it always begins, with your hands and her warmth, and no machine anywhere between the two. Now, count this one honestly. Milking by hand ran 10 to 15 minutes, less with a small, quiet cow, more with a big herd, and twice a day, every day. That is a quarter hour before breakfast, and another quarter hour by lantern at dusk, whether you are well, whether it is your birthday, whether the snow stands to the sill. The cow can't read a calendar. She fills up regardless, and someone has to empty her. So the first thing that went out of the well this morning is not the milk. It is the fact that some jobs simply do not care what you want. Stack this quarter hour on the water you haven't finished carrying, and the day is already spending you before it's fully light. What we mostly lost here was not the skill of the hands. It was the shape of a day that asks the same thing of you twice and asks it again tomorrow. The pail of milk is set on the shelf inside the door, and you are already reaching for the axe because the stove wants feeding, and the stove is patient with no one. Count this one by weight and volume, not by the clock. A single stove burned 10 cords in a mild New England winter, 20 in a hard one. A barn of timber, split one swing at a time. Stack that barn of wood on top of the water you haven't finished carrying. The day is not adding minutes now. It is adding cords, a whole year's warmth lifted twice, once to the shed, once to the firebox. And here is what went out of the well this time. Not the wood, but the plain fact that a warm house began with you and an axe, and a tree that had to come down. Nobody turned a valve. The warmth was a skill of the arms and the eye. Where to notch, how to split with the grain. Earned new every autumn, spent by the cord. The firebox is fed, and now you cross the yard to the stone well, because everything you have counted so far ran on water you have not yet carried. You lower the bucket, feel the rope go slack against the far cold, and haul it back hand over hand. Here the ledger gets heavy fast. Coffee, porridge, the wash basin, the cow's trough. Each one wants a full bucket, and each bucket is 8.5 pounds walked up from this stone lip by hand. Nobody turned a tap. Each was a separate walk, both directions. Lay each of those trips down next to the wood and the milk already counted. The cow drinks, so add her gallons. The stove that boils drinks too. So water is the quiet tax under everything else. Milk, warmth, a clean floor, none of it moves until somebody hauls the well first. What went out of the well this morning was not the strength, but the arithmetic behind it. We turn a handle and the number disappears. They carried it, and they knew to the gallon what a Tuesday cost. The bucket comes back from the well half full, because now it goes to the churn. You set the cream on the plank floor by the window, wrap your hand around the crank, and begin. How do you put a number on a wrist? By counting its turns, same as you counted the water by its pounds. Churning cream to butter ran 20 to 40 minutes. Warm cream broke fast. Cold cream fought you until the fat finally parted. For a single stick you would grab off a shelf in 10 seconds today, you gave up better than half an hour of the same slow motion, arm and shoulder both, no shortcut in it. And the water follows you here too. Then the churn must be scalded clean or the next batch sours. One more walk to the well, one more gallon onto the pile. And every one of them drank from the same well before you did. The cow, the stove, now the churn, all of it hauled by the same tired arm. So what's half an hour actually worth? Ask your arm after 40 turns of the crank. It already knows. We grab the stick off the shelf and never feel what it cost. The crank felt it. A half hour of your morning gone into one pat of butter. The churn is rinsed, and the well pays for it. And now you turn to the brick oven, where the wild sourdough has risen in its crock since before dawn. This is the one measure you can't weigh, clock, or carry. You can only feel it. There is no dial and no thermometer in the drawer, so the farm wife reaches her bare hand into the hot dark and holds it there. If your bare palm can bear the heat just a slow count of 3, the brick runs hot for a crust. Hold 6, and it's right for a slow loaf. The heat is red off the skin of a palm, and the palm is never wrong twice about the same oven. No dial ever earned that kind of trust. A hand did, burned 100 times into knowing. The number is easier, and I will not pretend the loaf is worse for it. But that hand was schooled the hard way. Scorched loaves, a burned palm, a winter of ruined bread before it ever read the fire right. The bread cools on the sill, and now you carry the harvest down into the dark under the house. This one you don't count in minutes, you count it in months. 6 feet down, the dirt barely notices the season, and a New England cellar holds a steady chill straight through August. You did not buy that cold. You dug it once, and the earth pays it back every summer for free. On the shelves stand the sealed jars. The mason jar, patented in 1858, first let a good harvest survive a lean March. A rubber ring, a zinc lid, air shut out for a whole winter. Low-acid vegetables go up by pressure now, not the open kettle the old books swore by. Check your own canner's manual before you trust a jar. And every jar was scalded and filled from the same well. A Tuesday's hauling stacked into hundreds until water sounds like a season. Beside the cellar stands the ice house. Pond ice cut in deep winter, packed in sawdust, still cooling food come August. a job finished before the thaw. What went out was the plain habit of thinking in months instead of minutes. The jars are stacked and the ice house is shut, and now you come back up into the lamplight to the last job that costs nothing to lift. On the farmhouse table beside the oil lamp lies the Montgomery Ward catalog. Count this one in money and in waiting. Founded in 1872, by the 1880s, that catalog let isolated farms order tools without losing a whole day to town. A tool you need is $1 in the book and 3 weeks on the road before it reaches the depot in town. Against that stands the other way, the whole day gone to a rutted wagon track and back, a day you already owe to the cow and the well. The catalog never saved you the $1, it saved you the day, and charged 3 weeks of patience for it. Somewhere between the order and the depot, 3 weeks simply happened to you, unquestioned, the way weather happens. The book lies quiet, the window has gone black, and you strike a match to the last job of the day. Total the ledger. The whole day ran through your hands as water, and it comes to hundreds of gallons on one ordinary Tuesday. 8.5 pounds a gallon, lifted twice a day. And here is the light you get for it. One candle throws maybe 13 lumens, where a plain 60-watt bulb throws 800. So when the sun went down in 1880, the day was over. 13 lumens, then nothing. Darkness decided your bedtime, not you. Stand at the window and look back down the day. In 1880, most of the country still farmed for a living. Almost nobody does now. That's arithmetic, not nostalgia. A trade the whole country made, one household at a time. The candle gutters now, and what all that hauling and cranking really cost is the thing left to weigh once the flame goes out. The flame has gone out, and here you are, back where the day began. The same well, the same bucket, only empty now. One candle in the kitchen window. Set the last number down flat. All the water lifted twice from this well came to well over 200 gallons, near a ton of weight hauled up by hand on an ordinary Tuesday. Weigh what's worth carrying home and keep it to 2. 1 hand skill and 1 habit of patience. More than that, and neither one sticks. First, the hand's whole schooling in fire. You read a heat with a palm held in the dark of the oven, the body itself the instrument. Second, the plain habit of waiting, ordering a thing and living the weeks until it came. Not the ton of water. 2 skills, the switch and the shelf, quietly took off your hands. And they were not tougher than you. Their arms were no thicker, their nerve no harder won. The bucket stays empty till morning. That's the only rule the well ever kept. They simply had no choice. The well did not care. The cow kept no calendar. The dark came whether they were ready. So the only question left is yours to answer alone. Which of these will you carry back before the first cold night?